Good afternoon and welcome to Breaking Fry Bread. I'm Dave. This is Ty. It's Wednesday afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you guys doing?
Living the dream.
I see that. I see the palm tree in the back. I see good weather.
That's right.
Looks like you're having fun.
What's going What's going on? What's going on in Puyallup Tribe today, brother?
What is today? Wednesday. There's an important piece of information that's going around the Puyallup Tribe right now today that really is important to me. There's some proposed changes to the Puyallup TERO Ordinance. Today is the 30th day it's been out for public comment, and they will probably remove it from being posted publicly, and then they're going to do what they're going to do. But it's some monumental changes. You know, it's going to change the landscape of TERO and what TERO has been all about since its inception here at the Puyallup Tribe. And I just encourage everybody to familiarize themselves with the changes, make comments, send the comments to the council secretaries at the Puyallup Tribe. And, you know, the more people that council hears from, hopefully they'll take some of these changes into consideration.
How do you get a hold of the tribal secretaries? Where do you find their information?
Let me look that up, but there's an email. I think it's council secretaries at puyalluptribe-nsn.gov. I'm going to find the official link right now. But they're pulling it from public comment today. I don't know if that means you can't comment past today, but I encourage you guys to do so. And I'm pulling up the link right now. Yes, so you can send your comments to council offices. So it's COUNCILOFFICES at puyalluptribe-nsn.gov.
Okay, that's awesome. And Ralph, let's get that thrown into the chat, onto the screen, and that'll be awesome for everybody to be able to have that live in view. Now, you mentioned some of these changes are going to be monumental. That's a big word. Not a big word, but I mean it's a big word in terms of like, hey, these changes are. It's not like we're making a few little changes to make things better. Like these sound like we're crossing a couple of rivers here. What are these changes?
Well, at first glance, when you look at it, it doesn't look all bad, to be honest. There's one big change. They have taken the powers away from the TERO Commission, and they are changing them to an advisory board, right? And so that's one of the bigger changes. But the most concerning change is the exemption clause that they're adding into the ordinance. When you read it, it doesn't sound too bad, but when you understand the intent behind it, that's where it becomes a big concern, because that is what they have included there. And I'll just read it to you right here. It's 3.24.015 exemption. Upon tribal council's determination that it is in the best interest of the Puyallup tribe for certain businesses or types of businesses to be exempt, the tribal council may by resolution exempt certain businesses or types of businesses from application of this chapter for leases and operations occurring on tribal lands, provided that there is an approved process consistent with the goals of increasing employment through a hiring preference as provided within the TERO ordinance and these regulations. So when you read it, it doesn't sound too bad. But when you understand what the intent behind that is, you look at the projects that they've done right now with TERO in the moratorium. I just learned an interesting fact from some of the TERO staff yesterday that since the TERO moratorium has been in place since 2022, there have been 20 tribal funded projects that TERO has been exempt from. And in that time, we have dispatched out 3 Native Americans onto 20 different projects over a span of 2 years. So,
wow, 3 natives have gone to work over 20 jobs.
3 natives. And then now you compare that to our Emerald Queen expansion that was in 2018. That was my last project with TERO before I moved over to PTCE. By the end of that project, we had, on that one project alone, we dispatched 646 Native Americans on one project. So,
and we've talked about this before. There's a lot of natives who are out of work right now.
There are. And so the biggest concern is that now if this passes, council can exempt TERO from any of their future projects through a resolution, provided that they can show a way to still enforce Indian preference. But without TERO, that is not possible. Without any oversight of these contractors, that is just not possible. And that is what people don't see, and that's what they don't understand. And so I've been trying to rally people. We've got about a group of 10 people that really have taken concern with this, and we had a planning meeting. We talked about what can we do to stop this, and so when it's all said and done, I just want to be able to say I did everything I could, because TERO has a special place in my heart.
I mean, TERO should have a special place in the heart of every Native American, because TERO isn't just for the Puyallup tribe. There's TERO in many tribes, and this is supposed to be a benefit to our people, and it is supposed to put us to work.
It provides. It's so many things. I heard one story. We have a lot of folks that are coming out of recovery, out of addiction, that look to TERO for work to help get them on the right path, to help provide stability in their life and structure. And not only coming out of addiction, but coming out of prison. We have a lot of success stories of folks transitioning out of prison that we have helped place, and that job helped provided structure and a path forward. And there's a lot of successful people today that, because of TERO, they now own their houses, they own their cars, they have a family. So there's all these little things
man.
Yeah, it's hard.
It sounds very frustrating, and I mean, I don't live on the Puyallup Indian tribe, and I don't count on TERO, for me to live, but I know how important it is. And I'll tell you that, interestingly, you said it's helped a lot of guys coming out of prison, and it's helped a lot of guys and gals, whatever, battle through and get through addiction. And just an interesting fact, I was doing some research for a presentation, speaking engagement that I had to do. I want to say 2 or 3 years back, and one of the topics was Native Americans and drug abuse and Native Americans and incarceration. And at the time of the study, I don't know where the statistics sit now. It's been a couple of years, and things change. I think it's been 3 years. But an interesting fact was that when you looked at the Native American population, and then you looked at African Americans, and you look at Asians, and you look at Caucasians, and you look at all of the races, Hispanics, per capita by people, the most incarcerated person in North America by per capita of person is the Native American. No person is incarcerated more than the Native American. prisons per capita, jails per capita are filled with Native Americans more per capita than any other race. So that's in conjunction with the amount of people that they have living in the country. And drug addiction and alcoholism and tobacco use are the highest of any population within the Native American. The highest. And then you look at the annual income for a Native American, and at the time that was $26,000 a year was the average income per Native American household. And you look at the blacks, and next that that African American, they are at $36,000. So there's a huge gap between Native American and African American. And you know what? It always bothers me, man. It always ticks me off. I'm going to tell you what, this ticks me off continually, that we always hear, black people are pushed down, racism against black people. I mean, I get it. Those things are, maybe out there or whatnot, but it's nothing compared to what a Native American person goes through. It's nothing compared to the persecution that a Native American goes through, in my opinion. The addiction rates, the incarceration rates, and it's like everything with a Native American wants to get swept under the rug, and it wants to just get pushed away, and it wants to get smashed down. And you know what? I don't like it. It ticks me off. It's one of the reasons why I love that we're doing this show together, because we're talking about issues, we're talking about real things in Indian country, but also in the United States, also in Canada, right? And Tero is a hope. And sometimes in life, we need hope. And sometimes in life, we need somebody to say, hey, man, help me out. Hey, can you help me? Gosh, if someone could just jumpstart me, if someone could just believe in me, if someone just said nice words to me, I might be able to take one step forward. And I think that Tero provides that hope. Tero provides that means. And we talked about it before. And I know I've got a little rant going here, but at the end of the day, you got fireworks going on, you got fishing going on, you got smoke shops going on. Those are the Native American trades. Outside of that, it's Tero. Tero's, supporting our people. And at the end of the day, if they take these jobs off the plate, if 20 jobs go out and only 3 natives, only 3 Puyallups are working on those jobs, I mean, I don't want to get crazy, but that sounds disgusting, man. That's just not a cool thing. Anyways, that's how I feel. These views are mine alone, but I would be interested to see how you feel about what I've shared.
Yeah, and amongst addiction, amongst the highest prison rate, we're also amongst the biggest rate of missing and murdered Indigenous people, right? I mean,
yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
I think we're leading all categories in a negative way, and yeah, it's not good. And I'd hate to compare one ethnicity to another, because we've all faced our own struggle in our own way, but it's out there, and it's, there's been one common denominator behind all of these struggles, and it's colonialism. It's been
it's true. You know what does it mean to be Native American? What does it mean? You know what, I love this because it plays into Tero. It plays into what it's talking about. My dad's 91 years old, and I don't know how old your dad is. I don't know how old your grandpa is. I don't know all of that, but I can tell you that, my dad grew up in the 1930s. And I can tell you that growing up in the 30s, everywhere he went, people were wanting to fight him. People were talking bad about him. He would be in school. They call him blanket ass. They call him all sorts of different, names. He would be in fights all the time at school. My dad grew up getting in fights constantly because he was Indian. People call him Chief, Big Indian, everywhere he went. And my dad had to carry that through a time when racism ran prevalent, not only for Native Americans, but for African Americans, for whomever. Chinese, Chinese have had their own, battles on the railroads and different things like that. But, Jewish folks, whatever, it's tough. And I look at my dad, and I look at what my dad had to walk through, and the man that he is, and everything that he's accomplished in his life. And I think to myself, could I have gone through that? Could I have borne those stripes? Could
Right.
I have gone to school every day and gotten a fight every single day over the color of my skin? Because we don't have to do that today. And I think that, like, what does it mean? And there's a pride. There's a pride that comes with, being Native American. It's my dad calls it panache. Native American has panache. Native American has strength. My dad tells me, he says, little Native American boy walks to the woods silent, making no sound. Little Indian boys, little Indian girls don't cry. We're tough. And so, like, that's part of what those things, mean to me, listening to my dad's stories, listening to my dad talk about that. And my dad worked as a part of TERO, right?
Yep.
TERO's a big deal. And I think, as people, we got to make sure that, we are taking care of our people. And I think that's a big part of who we are and what it means to be Native, is taking care of our people. And TERO, in my opinion, helps to do that.
Absolutely.
That's what I got for you on that part, that portion of it.
Yeah, and you talk about, your dad's struggle, my grandfather's struggle, and all of our ancestors, since the beginning of time, and even just 2 generations ago, what they had to go through. The very first show we did, I wore a shirt and it said "Ravaged Savages" on the shirt, or it says "Savages" on the shirt, and that's because in the Declaration of Independence, it still refers to Native Americans as savages in the Declaration of Independence. And it wasn't until 1936 until Native Americans were considered human beings. And so when you talk about the struggle that your dad went through, and my grandfather and his dad and his brothers and sisters and all of our ancestors, um, I'm I'm very thankful for what they went through, to get to where we are today. And that's not to say that it doesn't still exist in today's world.
Right. Look at the incarceration rates. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in all ways, we fish our waters, we fish the river, we dive, and we still encounter racism out there on the waters. We have to yell, we have to endure racial slurs from folks standing on the bridges, on the bridges over in the East and West Pass, over in Olala. I've experienced it, as a teenager. As a kid, I experienced it on the river, people standing on the bank screaming racial slurs. And, I just remember asking, like, my older cousins, like, why do they think like that about us, and just didn't have a full understanding of our history at that time. But, and as you grow up, you turn that resentment and that anger towards that race, or towards that group of people that have said these nasty things to you. You turn that resentment and that hate into understanding and hope, right? Like, I would like, instead of hating that person, I want to try to educate 5 people, and maybe if I can change 5 people's minds, maybe they can change 50 people's minds on the view of Native Americans and why we have the rights that we have today, and why we are who we are, what we have endured, and the the miracle of the fact that we're actually still here today after attempts on wiping out our people multiple
Again,
times, you know. And
yeah,
so,
it's go ahead.
yeah, I mean, and you talk about what does it mean to be Native, you know, that changes over time and as you grow and as you learn your history, you know. And for me today, what it means to be Native American, I mean, I'm proud, and I feel like the worldview of Native Americans is changing. I feel like we are starting to get, it's a step in the right direction. You know, like in Native American movies where there are Native Americans portrayed, we finally actually have Native Americans playing those actors, you
Yeah,
know? I mean, for all the way up until the early 2000s, they had non-natives playing all these Native American roles, you know?
right.
And so I think in today's world, what it means to me to be Native American is I'm proud. I wear it like a badge of honor on my arm every day. I wear that salmon right here in my forearm. You know, I have the salmon there in the background. You know, it's kind of a part of my insignia. And anytime I hit those waters, I just feel connected to our history, and I give thanks to the ancestors before me who fished these waters and who have paved the way to allow me to practice my treaty rights. And every time I bang on the drum and I sing the songs, that connects me back to my culture. We call it medicine. You know, we're getting that good medicine. You know, every time I live in our culture, you know, it's just that good medicine, and it connects us back to our roots. You know.
Yeah, I love that. That's powerful stuff. I think for me, when I think of it, I think of that pride. I love the word panache. It's a powerful word. It reminds me of beautiful beadwork and beautiful feathers and just just the pride that you have, as a Native American. And I love that. And you know what? For me, that means that in my life, no matter what I touch, I want to do it as perfect as I possibly can. It doesn't matter if it's the way my house looks. Like, I want my house to be the best looking house on the block. I want my yard to be the best looking yard. You know why? Because it represents who I am. It's not just about, hey, oh man, look at that yard. It's nice. No, it's about, you know what? I take pride in the way it appears. I take pride in my dress. I take pride in the way that I keep my house. I take pride in my give God the glory, right? For me, that's important. I take pride in the way that I connect with my parents. I take pride in the way that I take care of my parents. My parents are elderly now. Hey, my parents need a new roof on their house. Guess what? I'm going to pay for that for them. I'm going to take care of everything I can to be the best. If we have to, if we're going to run a marathon, I want to be the best marathon runner. If we're going to compete in business, I want to be the best businessman. I want to be the most educated, the most on top of my game. I want to do the best in everything that I can, because you know what? Not only do I represent myself, I represent all of my ancestors. I represent my parents. I represent my grandparents. I represent my great great grandparents. And that's my lineage. And so, like, I want to do everything I can, and I want to deliver the very, very best. Am I going to fall short every now and again? Absolutely. Am I going to fail? Am I going to have misses? Absolutely. But you know what? I love this show. I love this show that we're doing. So, it's important to me that I never miss. It's important to me that I'm always on point with my game. It's important to me that my kids see that. Oh my God, dad keeps his car perfectly clean. Dad is always on time. He's not on time, he's early. When dad says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. I have honor in everything I'm going to do. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to miss. I'm going to be generous in everything that I do. I'm going to be a giver. Today in our family, when we have birthdays, we do potlatch. This is something that my dad passed down to us. And we'll have little kids come, but we always will give away gift to every single person who comes, right? So there's a lot of things I think that are important that we pass on in just being who we are every single day. And it's about the way we the way we show up. How do we show up for our family? Do we take care of our kids? Do we take care of our spouse? You know what I mean? Do we put our needs before theirs? No, we don't want to do that, right? We want to put their needs before ours. We want to be servant leaders. That's a small portion. We could, rabbit hole on this forever, but that's a small portion of what being Native American means to me.
Yeah. And you're embodying that, right? That warrior spirit, and it's in your DNA, right? Just like, you have potlatches, that's traditional to the coastal people, so yeah, I love it, and, I always feel like that, like I'm embodying my ancestors, and I try to move, like I say, I move with love and I move with purpose. And I think that is thanks to my grandfather and my grandmother, and just how they moved throughout history, and the things they're able to accomplish. Um, I try to walk with pride, and I try to walk with, you know, um, that knowledge and that responsibility that it's my time now and it's my turn to in turn now walk in the same way, and um, try to make a difference, every day, in everyday life, and in, for our people, for our community, for myself, for my family, for everybody, you know.
One, I love that about you, Ty. And one thing I want to ask you is, you mentioned a lot of people, come out of prison. A lot of people come out of drug addiction. We talked about some of the numbers. They're a few years old, so the statistics might have changed, but I'm sure they haven't changed too much. What's just one thing that if someone's listening to this show and they're just having a tough time and they really want to embody that Native American spirit that sets us apart from every other culture, every other ethnic background, what's one thing that somebody should do to start changing their life in your mind?
uh that's the easy answer, and that is find your culture, connect with your culture. We have a lot of natives out there that don't quite feel connected to their culture. They might be, their parents might be white, and they might be not full-blooded native. Maybe they didn't grow up on the reservation, maybe they didn't grow up in the native way, and so they question, well, I can't drum, I've never grew up there, I can't do these things, like, but you can, and that's the thing is, um even though I am who I am, my family is who they are, there was a time when I didn't feel connected to the culture as I should, and what really helped me reconnect to my culture, and give me the courage to pick up a hand drum. And 2 years later, I have gifted 2 songs to our community that Chief Leshai sings in the school every Friday or every day. That started with our language department, the revitalization efforts of our language, led by Amber Hayward for the Puyallup Tribe, and her amazing team. They had a 2-week class, and it was an immersion class, and that's where I found the reconnection to my culture. Right, that's the first place I picked up a drum. I didn't pick it up at first, and then once I did pick it up, man, I never put it down. And so my advice to somebody who is struggling and is struggling to find their place, or struggling to find that medicine, is to reconnect with your culture. Pick up a drum. Don't even have to sing, man. Just stand there next to someone else and just drum until you can feel like you're comfortable enough to, and just take in that good medicine, and then just stick with it. I'm seeing a lot of our folks coming out of addiction and prison that are getting jobs in our culture department. And some of our youth that may have been troubled that are coming up, they're getting jobs in our culture department. I'm glad that the tribe sees that as a way of healing, right? Like now I see them in the culture department leading songs and dance and cultural activities. I'm like, man, this person's doing really good. It's good to see them reconnecting, you know, to the tribe, to themselves, and moving with love and moving with passion.
I love
Purpose, moving with purpose. Yeah.
I love it. I know we got to bring this thing in for a landing here. I want to tie this back to, where you were at with where we started the call with Tero. We've talked a lot about what it meant to be Native American, how powerful it is. And I think that also means standing up for ourselves and standing up for our rights and standing up for what's right. And I think that if you have feelings about um, the changes to Tero, make those comments, share those comments, because if you don't speak up, like silence is agreement, right? If you don't, if you are silent, that means you just agree. You've just decided to agree with what's going on. But if you want to make change, if you want to empower people, if you want to see more natives on jobs, then make those comments. It's not a guarantee that it changes anything, but maybe it does if enough people make the comments. And I won't say that I'm an expert in Tero law or writing these codes or writing these things that come out, because I'm definitely not. But I definitely think that every native should read what is presented before us. They should question, they should ask the tough questions, they should submit those things, especially on the last day, this being the last day of the comment period. And I think it's important. It's our right. So if you're listening to this show, if you're taking it in, take the time to comment. What would you what are your final thoughts on Tero here, Ty?
The same, I'm not in Tero anymore. I don't have a dog in the fight. But I care, right? Because it's a part of where I came up, and I see the good that Tero did for the community and how many lives it impacted and how many lives it changed. And I'm very concerned for the future of Tero. There are others that are very concerned as well. I just don't want to see these changes happen and our members aren't quite aware of it, because they didn't get involved early enough. And so I've been really encouraging people to get involved here, bring awareness to it, comment, because once it's done, it's done. And that's the scary thing, is once these changes are made in a year down the road, when you're trying to get a job and you've realized that Tero, the landscape of Tero has changed and it's no longer easy for you to get a job, you're going to wish that you'd gotten involved early, right? And so now is the time. Now is the time to bring awareness to it. Now is the time to talk to your council members and let them know your concerns. Let them know how Tero impacted your life. Council needs to hear these things. They don't live in Tero. They don't live in those everyday things. They have agendas that are packed every single day. And so they need to hear from the membership how important Tero is to them, how it impacted their life. And hopefully it helps influence their final decision on this. But my one piece of advice is to get involved, right? And get involved now.
And here's the other thing too. We need to ask why. And there's several really important questions, like, why are we going to an advisory board? An advisory board, just so you know, has no power over policy, procedure, implementation, execution, nothing. All they do is sit around the table and they think about vision and they cast vision, and then they make that recommendation to the council, to the board. That's what an advisory board typically does. So now there is no power. There is nothing there. And so I'm not saying that that's wrong. Maybe that's the best thing for the tribe. But I want to know why. Why did you make that change? What roadblock were you running into? What issue were you having that made you say, you know what, we don't want to do it this way anymore? What we now see as an advisory board, what was the change? And then in regard to the exemption, why? Why are you doing an exemption? Are you getting pressure from other people that, outside influences? I don't know. Maybe you are. Are you thinking that this is going to be better for Native Americans? Is this giving more leeway? Maybe the reason that the council has, or whatever has, is perfectly amazing, and it's the best answer in the world, and it's going to make every life better for every Native American. But maybe it's not. And I think those are the questions we have to be really, really good at asking. We have to dive into those questions. We have to talk about those things, and we have to hear those answers. And I believe what council owes, this is just my belief, is why are you doing this? How does it affect me as an individual Native American? I believe you owe me that answer. How does it impact me? How does it impact my family? How does it impact me financially? And what does success look like? Like, don't just tell me it's good for me. Like, I don't want to have this big celebration like, hey, everybody, great. We just amended TERO. We made some great changes. The confetti is falling from the sky. This is amazing. And everybody's like, and what does this mean to me? And do I even care about this? And why? What? And so those are the questions I think that good leadership always answers. And business owners, it doesn't matter if you're in business, it doesn't matter if you're in public counsel, we have to answer those questions. And when we can show what success looks like, now we have something to mark and measure by. And if the council says in 1 year, this is what we hope to achieve by this, 20% of all of our natives working on jobs, whatever. Okay, now that's something we can benchmark, and we can say that was successful or not. And that's my ask on anything like that. As a nobody, that's my ask as a nobody. Just saying, those are the questions that I love to see answered. That's all I've got on this.
That's a great insight. That's a great ask, and we should finish with that. My biggest thing is who's going to have oversight over this? Who's going to take the time to make sure that these contractors are hiring Native Americans like they should be? It's one thing to say, oh, they have to, it's in the contract, they have to hire natives. That's one thing to say that, but you, as you know, as a contractor in the industry, people don't always follow the contract. If there's no regulation, if there's nobody enforcing it, there's a lot of there's a lot of things that happen, and there's a lot of
happen under the table.
Absolutely, and so that's a great
our money.
It's our tribal dollars.
We're a big player. The Puyallup tribe is a big player in construction, spending many, many millions, tens of millions of dollars on construction. And those labor wages should benefit everyone on the tribe. I'm a believer in this. It's just common sense to me.
It is. And it's unfortunate that the powers that be, they don't see it. They don't take the human equity side of and the blue collar, perspective from it. They look at, hey, how fast can we get this job done? And how fast can we get this, open,
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, your ask is great. Tell us why. Tell us why. Let's set some goals. Like you said, let's set some benchmarks. If we don't reach those goals, we really need to take a look at that, and you need to answer for it. Let's be accountable for it.
Because we're accountable. I'm accountable to keep the lights on. I'm accountable to keep the water on. I'm accountable to keep the car payment paid, right?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if the membership isn't, there's a lot of things that get passed without, right under our nose that the membership doesn't know about. And if the membership doesn't say anything about it, they're just going to keep doing it. And that's just the way it is, and that's why I've been encouraging everybody to get involved now. Let it be known. Talk to your council through email or face-to-face, whatever. Let them know that TERO is still here. You still want to work. You don't just want a job. You want a career, so.
Yep. And it might be the best thing. It might be the worst thing. We don't know until we know why, until we hear those answers come back. And so post your comments today. Listen, this has been an absolutely fantastic show. I'm Dave. This is Ty. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere where it's social. Hang out, give us a like, give us a share, drop your comments into the comment box, and we will see you next week. Ty, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week, buddy. Have fun. Hoyt.